Well, that's the question is, what is the best soundtrack or song that you have from an MMO?
You know what? I got to go with Final Fantasy 14.
Walk with us as we escort you to safety, experience, and the adventure of a lifetime.
And hopefully you won't fall off the cliff. That is always the idea for Escort Quest, is that we don't let you die along the way. All right, this one was, I thought was interesting, at least my thought it was. There was an article that came out about best 10 MMOs soundtracks, you know. And I know, having my son who loves Final Fantasy 14 and talking about the fact that it has a great score, and then going to the going to Seattle Symphony Orchestra when they had a concert there. Not one time, it wasn't them, but yeah, Benny Royal Hall, and listening to the music and how classic it is, okay, and everything about it. I started asking, thinking about a question. Of course, since SirJahzeal is a musical guy, you know, I thought this would be kind of a cool, interesting question about, first off, is music important to the game? And even needed, okay? And so we'll ask question number 2 in a minute, but reason why I say this, because and people who know me have heard me say this many times, one of the issues I have with Final Fantasy 14 is the music. Especially the opening screen was like a bunch of scales going up and down. Like, it's not dramatic like Dark Age of Camelot, which even today I hear that and like blood pumps a little bit. Or even the World of Warcraft, or even ESO is more dramatic and more epic type of thing, right? Boom, 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 you know, type of stuff, right? Well, other ones are like less like that. And so I'm like, you know, and of course when you're listening to the game, you know, and sometimes you're in the middle of a fight, the music is not really noticeable to you. It's not really what you're going to do, right? But it is there in the background, because it does make a little. If you had no music at all, it'd be a rather boring game, very quiet. You hear the ambient sounds maybe of your character and whatnot, but it's like, I'm watching a movie. You want to have a little bit of extra stuff there. So what about you, Jahzeal? Is it important in the game? Is it needed?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's all part of the experience, and I do own a lot of soundtracks, especially for MMOs, and again, it's also that nostalgia thing, because I just the other day I was just I don't even remember what it was. I think it was just going down the rabbit hole in on YouTube, and but I was specifically looking up uh gosh, what was it? I think it was something for Dark Age of Camelot. And ultimately, I ended up listening to some of the tunes on there, and then I went. Of course, that took me to to EverQuest, and man, alive, just listening to the loading screen music and the character select screen music and all that just took me right back. And then I of course went and listened to. There was a guy, I can't remember his name, on YouTube that did piano versions of all the main title songs for all the different areas in the game. And I was able to, like, within the first couple notes, I was kind of doing uh what's that song, or what was the name of that game show they had back in the 70s?
Name that song. Name that tune. Name the tune.
Name that tune, right? And I was kind of doing that, and with my daughter was sitting there, and I'm like, "Oh, that's Feydark," and she's like, "What?" I like knew what zone it was just by the first couple of notes,
Yeah.
and it took me right back to just the memories of questing through each of the zones, and hanging out with my friends and goofing off and raiding and all that other stuff. Um, I I got to give some kudos too to the game we played here recently that just came out, New World. I got
Yeah.
that soundtrack, and it's excellent. It is really good. There's a couple of them that it's kind of the same theme, done with different instruments or whatever, and maybe played at on a different scale. But man, it's really good. It's really good, and I even have listened to it a couple times just while I was doing sermon prep or whatever, But what I really like are games where it just transports you to that place, and it's subtle. It's not. Um, Especially if you're just out questing, you don't want something that's really obnoxiously up front. You want something that's kind of in the background, but adds to that mystery and that allure of that area. and really captures the atmosphere. And there's been a lot of, like, I mean, we named a couple already here. World of Warcraft has always been excellent at that. Final Fantasy is just awesome, and some of those boss fights, when it turns into like a heavy metal song all of a sudden, or a rock song, I got a big kick out of it. Which kind of goes against what I was just saying. You don't really want something up front, and those are definitely up front, but man, it just gets your blood pumping and your heart beating, and you really get into that fight at that point. It's just awesome. Yeah, so I love it. I love it, and I'm so happy that a lot of them put them out. I actually, if I would have known we were going to bring this topic up, I actually
it was in the notes.
I didn't read that. I read our previous thing that we were talking on, and didn't get to this one because in my room, I'm not going to go get them. But actually, like 3 months ago, bought the vinyl LPs of the EverQuest soundtracks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're really beautiful and really well done.
Well, that leads to
I approve.
Well, that's the question: is what is the best soundtrack or song that you have from MMO?
You know what? I got to go with Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, I know Lurker would say that. That's for sure. I mean, that's the thing about
there's too many good.
Yeah, every zone has its own little score, right? And they do it, in a way that, on one level, that's why I said it's not my style. There was a song I was doing Stormblood, and this one, not the main story quest, but it's a side quest where you're into this like mechanized area, right? And all of a sudden, I'm like, it's like a rock song, right? I'm like, what the heck? What is this? I'm like, I actually found a song I like. I mean, don't get me wrong. I went to the concert. Final Fantasy 14 has wonderful music, okay, but it never hit me. And this song was like, what? And I was like listening to it, like, oh my gosh, this is a really good song. Like, I finally found a good song in Final Fantasy 14. It's like that I really like. It's like, okay, sometimes when I went around Final Fantasy 14, the music is just like, can we turn it off? And I hate it. And I hate the. I get to the point where I got tired of the soundtrack for when you get on the Chocobo and you run around. Like, oh, that is it. Someone told me, you can turn it off. I go, what? So I did turn it off. But Fantasy 14, I said these songs, I don't remember all the songs from all the games I played. The music does add to the ambiance of the game itself, even though I tend to turn down sometimes if it's too loud in my ears. It's always like wondering if you could have a soundtrack to life, where when you're going to the store or going to work, right? It's always a soundtrack. It's like just kind of follows you. But that's where these games are. So yeah, Final Fantasy 14, I think does win a lot of people's hearts and minds. When it comes to songs.
The one that I have marked as the most played on Spotify is Susanoo's theme.
Susanoo's theme. We can look that up.
Yeah.
Susana. I misspelled. There it is, Susanoo.
It's Susan.
Yeah, see, this is commercials.
Stay up past her bedtime.
Oh,
I have commercials first. Of course, there's commercials on YouTube. It shouldn't be. This is a game song, so it shouldn't get me pinged, right?
I don't think so. Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
I've been having
Dune commercial. 2 commercials in a row.
Oh, that's not right.
There you go.
It's terrible.
The pool of tribute. It's got like a. I don't know if that's it or not. Are you hearing it? It's just a Japanese festival style theme. How about? Yoshi says Maple Story knew how to make some great BGMs. Okay, no, this is another BGM song. Is it the same one or not? Yeah, same song. All right. Anyways, this is the best video. Same song, standalone from Final Fantasy X. 10. Boss theme song with lyrics. I haven't played 10 in years. It's the only Final Fantasy I've played outside of 14. Well, 11 too. Yeah, that's a good song. Good rock and roll song. That's been a while. I mean, I did not play a lot of Final Fantasies. Okay, 10 I played. It's one of the things where I would play it, my kids would watch me, you know, and I couldn't find. I think if the final boss was beaten not by me but my son's best friends. Okay, but then Final Fantasy 11 I played a little bit of, not a lot. Then Final Fantasy 14. You know, obviously I've not played 15 or other one. So. All right, that's cool. I mean, that's where I maybe we should do is like we should like a next future show count down Jahzeal's 10 favorite MMO songs. If we can do that, I'm not sure if we can or not.
Yeah, I could do that.
You know, like Jahzeal's 10 countdown. Oops, hit the wrong button. So now it's 10 top 10 MMO songs. Okay. Well, we would ask Solomon if he was here, but he's not here, so that ain't gonna happen, is it? You pinged us yet? Nope, no pinged us yet.
No, he
All
must
right.
be in dreamland.
Yep. So that's that's it for our Escort Quest. I think we got you guys safely to a wonderful spot. Now you're all ready to go listen to some music, on Spotify or Amazon, whatever you happen to listen to your stuff. Check out the further adventures of Kennethan by liking and subscribing and watching me live on twitch.tv/Kennethan.